Mike, another day, another episode.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Dallas, what's up, man?
Oh, dude, I'm happy to be here. We're talking a little bit of quarterbacks today, quarterback rankings.
Nice. And of course, 4 more guaranteed winners today, man. How
Free,
you feeling?
guaranteed. Lock them up.
Yes, sir.
All right, this episode is your top 10 quarterback rankings and the horse and the hound.
You know it.
All right, Mike. Another week, man. You ready for today's rankings?
Very ready, man. We're going to talk a little quarterbacks today, man. Let me ask you something before we get started with this, man. Do you have a favorite fantasy football format as far as like your scoring system or roster settings?
Oh, yes. My number one rule going forward in all fantasy leagues is get rid of kickers. That's my number one rule right now. Other than that, I like them all. It's just different flavors.
For sure.
My favorite is your standard half PPR single flex league.
Half PPR single flex. Okay. I prefer the double flex. I think the most fun part about fantasy is the draft. So the more fun you have drafting, the better. And I think it's more fun to draft people that are actually going to score a lot of points. I feel like there's not a lot of thought that goes into drafting kickers, defenses, whatever.
No.
So I'm all for the double flex. Also down for the 2 quarterback league, whatever, man. Just the more fun, the better.
2 quarterback league, it has so much value with the quarterback. It kind of ruins everything else because you have to go quarterback early. Quarterback. It's no fun.
I think it adds a little strategy to it, and I'm all for that, man. As someone who champions strategy,
okay.
I think it just adds another layer to it.
Any notable news you want to talk about before we get these picks?
Man,
the surefire, guaranteed to win, 100% locked and loaded quarterback.
25% chance to win, man. Any NFL news? I don't think anything on the NFL front.
Have you heard about the Jordan Addison situation at all?
No. What you got? What are you doing?
So Jordan Addison just got charged with a case. I'm sorry. I think it's – yes, he was charged with a DUI.
Okay.
Just recently, he was passed out in his car. And this is a year ago. He got pulled over for going 140 miles an hour.
Oh, man.
It's just a trend. Allegedly. It's just a bad trend. He's such a talent. You want him to kind of get it together.
Yeah,
he's in such a good situation with Jettas. It's just you don't want him to ruin that.
Yeah, man. I didn't hear about that. Fantasy wise, I'm a little out on Jordan Addison because they're going to start off with I'm assuming Sam Darnold and then transition to JJ McCarthy through the season. So I'm kind of out on that until we have something guaranteed at quarterback. Something until we see what the quarterback situation looks like. I think I'm a little out on that.
All right, I got you. All right, well, so let's move on. Let's get our first future bet. What you got for us?
All right, my very first future. Guaranteed, 100%, lock it in. Arizona Wildcats football over 7.5 wins. This is a team that won 10 games last year. I'm not really sure why the line is so low in Vegas. They have a returning quarterback, Noah Fafita, who I think is a good bet to lock him in for a Heisman future. They have Mike Evans 2.0 at wide receiver. They have a good running back stable. They have a corner who I think is going to be phenomenal. They have a lot of talent at Arizona, and they're returning a lot. I think it's one of the safest bets out there. I was shocked when I saw the line was at 7.5, and it's weird because they're coming down from they were a 10-win team last year. I know they lost a quarterback, but I'm sorry, they lost the head coach, but
that's it.
I'm locking that in 100%. I haven't been this confident in any of my picks so far. Arizona over 7.5 wins. Lock it in.
A new first-year head coach is scary to me. All right, my first pick is Tyreek Hill over 1,425 receiving yards. Okay. He has done this 2 of the last 3 years.
Okay.
And both years he's done it with Miami. This offense is such a good scheme. I just think this is another one. Last year he was talking about wanting to pass 2,000 yards, and he would have done it, I think, if he would have got hurt there at the end of the year. So I agree. I love Tyreek Hill, 1,425 receiving yards.
I think that's a really high line.
It is.
I get the logic, and Tua was one of the leading. He might have led the league in passing, I believe. So
he did.
I can see that. And I think McDaniel draws his scheme is pretty crazy. I think I can see the path to that, but he's one injury away from not hitting that. So that's what gives me a little pause, when you take the over at such a high number.
That's the one thing. You can't predict an injury, though.
Yeah.
Okay, what else you got?
My other one, Another easy, guaranteed winner. Houston Texans over 9.5 wins. They won 10 games last year. They're arguably the most improved team in the NFL. They had a really solid NFL draft. They add Stephon Diggs to that wide receiving core. They add Joe Mixon at running back, which is a huge upgrade over Devin Singletary, who's not great at football. You add Daniil Hunter on the pass rush. Like there's no way they don't hit 10 wins again, at least. And they're playing in the AFC South, which is a solid division, but not. It's definitely not in contention for one of the best, man.
The Texans are getting so much love. I just don't know if they can. I don't know if they can rise to this occasion. You got to think, C.J. Stroud. No one saw it coming last year. Nobody thought this was going to happen. So now he has to play on that expectation, which he didn't have last year. I think he'll struggle with it a little bit. He's getting. I mean, him and Micah Parsons have their own little show now. He's getting a lot of attention. Is he focused still? Is Stephon Diggs, who we know can cause trouble in a locker room, is he going to ruin a good thing already in that receiving core? We don't know yet. I don't feel good about the Texans this year. I'm not saying I think they're going to be a good team and I think they're going to contend in their conference, but I just don't feel great with the Texans.
Do you feel like they've improved or regressed from last year?
On paper, they have improved, but they were great last year. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable with taking the Texans. That's just...
Is that a brand thing?
It's a brand thing.
Got you. So I think for us, we have to be really objective about this and look at the facts. Facts over opinions, right? So I think with that, if you look on paper at their roster, they have a better roster on paper than everyone else in that division.
Okay.
I think they won 10 games without Joe Mixon and Stephon Diggs and Daniil Hunter, all guys who have been all pro caliber players previously. I think you had a rookie quarterback last year win 10 games. Sky's the limit for CJ Stroud.
Okay.
Easy bet for me.
Okay.
What's your next one, man?
All right. So this one, this is a hot take.
What you got?
But this is a college team that I really like the future for. So it's the SMU Mustangs out of Dallas, Texas. Okay.
Okay.
The Pony Express is back.
Is it?
Yes.
Tell us why.
The Pony Express. Have you heard the story of SMU? What happened with them in the 80s? You know, the death sentence. Okay. You know how much money goes through that school? That school is so rich. They are getting funded like a huge Power 5 school right now.
Okay.
Okay. So right now I can pull it up. Their schedule right now, they are 7.5 wins. Okay.
I was really surprised to see that, man. So what do you have?
You're surprised that it was that high?
I was surprised that you feel confident enough to choose that as.
Okay. And I'll break it down to you why.
Okay.
So first game of the year, they're at Nevada.
Okay.
Okay. Now we're not scared. No one's scared of Nevada.
Wolfpack.
Then we go down to Houston to play Houston Christian. That's 2 wins. Okay.
Allegedly.
BYU. Okay. That's their first test. That's at home. We'll see what happens there. For the sake of the conversation, we'll say it's a loss. 2-1 at this point. TCU. I think TCU's lost a lot this year. I think they're a super beatable team. I don't think they'll compete well in the Big 12 this year. I'm gonna say 3-1. Florida State. We don't know. 3-2. Louisville win. Stanford win. Duke win. Pittsburgh win. Boston College win. Virginia win. Cal loss.
Are you looking at it from the lens that this is from an SMU lens, or are you looking at it from an OU lens? Like, what lens are you looking at it?
I'm looking at the SMU lens.
Because they don't have superior talent to everyone that you're naming, and I feel like they don't really have the pedigree to just go in places and just tally up a win just based on name.
I disagree with you there.
Okay.
I respectfully disagree. Well, this is good. We finally disagree with each other now. We're finally disagreeing with each other.
Sure.
Okay. So we have, for this week's bets, we got the Arizona Wildcats, 7.5 wins over.
Easy.
Tyreek Hill over on receiving yards. Mm-hmm. SMU over 7.5 wins. And the Texans over 9.5 wins. That's a lot of overs.
Super easy. A lot of overs, man.
Okay.
Maybe we'll change it up next week for a few more unders, man. But yeah, feel extremely confident about mine. How confident are you? What is your most confident bet?
This week I like Tyreek Hill.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the Miami Tyreek Hills.
Okay. Fair enough, man. Okay, well, yeah, guys out there, go ahead and lock those in. And we're going to transition straight into our top 10 quarterback rankings. And starting us off.
No surprise?
No surprise here. We have Josh Allen. He is both of our number one quarterback projected, the consensus number one, industry number one. Why do you have Josh Allen number one, man?
I have Josh Allen number one is because his career, he is consistently right there every year.
Yeah.
He will always, in my opinion, his build. These big quarterbacks, these big mobile quarterbacks, I don't think he'll have a super long career, but he's going to burn bright while he's here. Okay. Over the past 3 seasons, he is consistently ranked among the top 2 fantasy quarterbacks. Okay. His average over those 2 years is 24.2 points per game. Okay. That's insane.
It is.
His rushing, he had 15 rushing touchdowns last year. I think that is going to stay. I don't think that's going anywhere right now with the change in the receiving core. I love Dalton Kincaid. I love James Cook. Not as high on the receiving core as you are.
Okay.
So I do think his rushing prowess is going to stay there. It's not going away. That creates a baseline. You're always going to have a Josh Allen.
Okay. I'm with you.
I just don't. What is, other than the receiving core, how can you argue against him?
Yeah, I think with the vacated targets that he has there, losing Stephon Diggs, losing Gabe Davis, I know he's replacing those with rookies. I think that just lends to him having even a higher floor, rushing floor.
Yeah.
His goal line work is pretty guaranteed. I know they brought in Ray Davis, running back from Kentucky. I think he'll take some carries from James Cook, but that's the James Cook show. And a lot of times on the goal line, James Cook doesn't get those carries. No,
it's not really
the primary goal. The primary goal line option is Josh Allen. So
yeah, and that's not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's guaranteed, man. I have him number 1 as well. He's just guaranteed volume. He has the primary goal line touches. He has everything you need, man.
All right.
Josh Allen, number 1.
All right, number 2.
Number 2, we have Jalen Hurts of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Boomer.
Consensus.
Sorry, Boomer Sooner.
Transfer. But
it's about where you end, not where you start.
It's about where you win, you know. So I have Jalen Hurts number 2. I believe he's stepping into a situation, well, he's still in a situation where he's improved at offensive coordinator. His line is still good. I know he lost Jason Kelsey, but they've drafted so well. Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson. They have continuity on the offensive line. They add Saquon Barkley. That's going to help him even more. You get A.J. Brown back. He's paid. He's locked up. Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert. That is arguably the most talented offense in football, man. So
yeah, the tush push isn't going anywhere. I know a lot of people are scared of that going away with Saquon Barkley. That's not going anywhere. He had a slight efficiency problem last year, and I don't think that was him. I think that was the scheme that was in place there.
Yeah, he was bad last year, the second half of last year.
I think coming this year, that scheme's going to be better, and I think that him at that number 2 spot, even number 1 spot, I think you can lock him in there as a top 3 quarterback for sure.
Oh, yeah, easily. I think those are the 2 top quarterbacks in whatever order you want to put him in. In some best ball drafts, I've taken Hurts over him. That's normally tied into trying to have a pairing, I'm sorry. Like if I take A.J. Brown early, I'll go ahead and
you want to stack them.
Yeah, you get the stack.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, that's a strategy.
Stack with Hurts and him. Same thing with Kincaid and Allen. So
could you imagine if Jalen Hurts would have got drafted by a good organization?
Oh man. He's been to a Super Bowl, so he definitely doesn't play for the Cowboys.
Yeah,
man.
but the Philadelphia Eagle fans are trash.
I think that they just
the organization is trash.
We have a Philly fan in the building, the honorable Sean Loeffler, man.
Boo! Philly's a bunch of rednecks, bunch of city rednecks.
But to be fair, man, Hurts really has an ideal situation. He has so much talent around him. I think he finished second half last year. He wasn't very good. He wasn't very efficient. His coaches, he's upgraded at coach. The talent is there. The Russian floor is there. Like, there's no chance of him not being one of the top fantasy quarterbacks, man.
I agree. Unfortunately, yeah, he is.
Yeah.
It's that Sooner blood in him. All right, we got number 3.
At number 3, let me see what we have. We have Lamar Jackson coming in. I personally have Lamar Jackson 1 spot down. Dallas, why'd you have him at 3?
Lamar Jackson, I have him at number 3 because he can go nuclear. He came off an MVP season. People forget he was an MVP last year of the league.
Yeah, second time.
Fantasy doesn't really show that. He was kind of hit or miss last year. He'll win you a week, he'll lose you a week. They bring back Mark Andrews Boomer. I think that's his favorite weapon around the goal line. They missed him last year. Isaiah Likely just didn't kind of fit in where they wanted him to. This is a trend. This is a trend with fantasy quarterbacks. If you can establish a rushing baseline as a quarterback, it's a cheat code in football.
Yeah.
You got to have the rushing baseline. And with the weapons he has, I do think that you got to have him up top 5. Just the way he can change a game in one play.
Yeah, I agree. Top 5 for sure. The thing that gives me pause with him, they added Derrick Henry, who's debatably one of the best running backs in the NFL. Around the goal line, there's no way he's not going to get touches. So I think that I can see Lamar Jackson's rushing touchdowns regressing some, just the presence of Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
And that offensive line is not what it was, man. They've lost pieces on the offensive line. I think that's going to matter. My number 3 was someone a little different. We'll get into him a little later. Pause.
Okay.
But yeah, Lamar Jackson is very safe. I think he's champion. I think his efficiency is the best thing about him fantasy wise.
Okay.
I like him more for best ball leagues, like you said, like the variance between weeks for Lamar Jackson. And then you have the injury risk, of course, with the nature that the way that he plays. And that offensive line being worse, I can see injuries possibly being a factor for him. But so yeah, Lamar Jackson comes in at number 3 on our consensus rankings. Number 4, we have that guy. We have Pat Mahomes, man. What do you think about Pat Mahomes this year?
I love him this year. I think they put some pieces in place with Marquise Brown and Xavier Worthy. They got real field stretchers on the team this year. We don't know what's going to happen with Rashid Rice, but when he gets back, I think that's going to be a dynamic offense with Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Kelce, and the receivers I just mentioned. I think that we're going to get back to kind of that smash mouth, air raid type of offense. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a mid-40s touchdown year for Patrick Mahomes again. I think he's kind of one of the outlier quarterbacks that you don't necessarily need that rushing baseline.
Yeah.
But he has a sneaky rushing ability. He does in the year usually with 300 rushing yards a year.
Yeah.
So he does bring that to the case a little bit. But Patrick Mahomes is kind of the exception when it comes to the quarterback. I think him and there's 2 others.
He's the exception to a lot of things, man. Just because he isn't the dynamic rushing threat, but he still produces at such a high level, man. I think it's a little redundancy with the skill set of Marquise Brown and Xavier Worthy. I do, but that's also a lot of speed on the field at the same time, man. So you have them out there. Travis Kelce is going to do what he does. He's still a favorite weapon for Pat Mahomes. So, and I think Isaiah Pacheco, like you said, runs with his hair on fire, man.
Yeah.
No one runs harder than Isaiah Pacheco. I still think that team, well, as of recently, I think they were transitioning into more of a running team and a great defensive team. But I think adding those weapons, you're going to use them. You didn't pay him not to use them. So,
right.
And in the first round draft investment in Xavier Worthy, that's Mahomes has so many weapons, man. So I think he's absolutely safe. A lot of people are going to overdraft him due to the name recognition with him. I'm not going to be one of those people unless, again, I have that Travis Kelce stack round 3.
If you get Travis Kelce, I would take the risk on Mahomes. That'll pay off. About
the 3-4 turn in 12-team leagues, man. That's a nice start for you, man.
All right, so next we got the freak Anthony Richardson. This is crazy, because last year he was on pace, I know, with a very small sample size of a 17 rushing touchdown season.
Dog.
17. That's a league winning.
He is arguably the best athlete at quarterback in the league, man. He's ridiculous.
That's what I was going to ask you. And I want the peanut gallery on this one, their opinion a little bit. Who is the best athlete at quarterback ever? Recent history. Let's say the last 30 years.
Michael Vick.
Okay, I'm biased. I'm from the 757, so I'm going to say Michael Vick all day.
Or Lamar Jackson.
Michael Vick.
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson.
Either of those two. Michael Vick.
No Tim Tebow love?
No.
Just joking. Most of these are jokes, man.
Okay.
What about
I thought I heard that.
Dallas said Baker Mayfield, so we're going to keep.
No,
For his running ability and the way he could spin the ball, he had the tightest, most beautiful spiral ever, and then look, go.
Man.
His relationship with PETA. Yep. It went well. Tony Romo, I think, was an underrated athlete. Tony Romo was an underrated athlete.
What? Tony.
Have you seen Tony Romo play golf? Tony Romo was a great athlete.
Tony Romo has no business in this discussion.
With that, I will say, Anthony Richardson is probably going to go down as one of the best athletes at quarterback we've ever seen. He's a freak.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
He comes in at number 5 for us, man. I like him there. We really got a small glimpse of him because of injury, and that's just the nature of the position. When you're an athletic quarterback and you run that much, you're going to get hurt, man. So unfortunately for him, he ran into the injury bug early. He comes back. Obviously, he has Jonathan Taylor there with him. They invested at the wide receiver position, adding A.D. Mitchell. You still get Michael Pittman back. Josh Downs is there. He's a beast. Really good offensive line. So I really like the Colts this year, man.
You're drafting Anthony Richardson year for the upside. You're drafting him for a ceiling.
yeah.
That's all it is this year.
And I think with the name recognition, a lot of people use name recognition when drafting. So guys like Mahomes are going to go earlier than they should.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are really high on guys like C.J. Stroud this year, Lamar Jackson, name recognition. Even Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, some of these guys that have been established good quarterbacks for fantasy, they're going to go earlier than they should. And the guys like Anthony Richardson, who we just saw a few games out of last year, are going to go a little later. Take full advantage of that. Stock up on running backs and wide receivers earlier, and let Anthony Richardson fall to you in the middle rounds. Man.
The disparity, kind of what you're saying, the disparity in the number 1 quarterback and the number 10 quarterback is not as great as you think it is.
Right.
It doesn't even compare to the disparity between the number 1 receiver and the number 10 receiver. It's huge.
Yes, pro tip.
Now there are pro tip. Yes. But anyways, Anthony Richardson, you're drafting for a ceiling this year. He could go nuclear. All right.
Absolutely, man.
Next up's your boy.
Next up's my man, C.J. Stroud. I'm really, really high on C.J. Stroud. Personally, I had C.J. Stroud as my number 3 quarterback. He comes in at number 6 on the consensus.
I can't see it.
I just saw him last year have a guy I was really high on pre-draft, Tank Dell. Nico Collins turned into the player that we were hoping that he could become. And then you add Stephon Diggs to that, who is just a pro. He can get open against anybody.
He's
and
older.
then you upgrade it at running back as well with Joe Mixon. So that lends to his efficiency. I think that offense, Bobby Slowick's doing great things down there in Houston. And then, I mean, he has a whole year of experience under his belt. You see how cool he is under pressure. You see that pressure doesn't really affect him.
And he does have that swagger.
He's upgraded his weapons. He's upgraded the team overall. That's I'm sky high on C.J. Stroud, man.
C.J. Stroud is limited due to his rushing upside. He doesn't have that built-in upside like the other quarterbacks did. He doesn't.
True.
I don't think he's the outlier that Patrick Mahomes is. I think we're getting ahead of ourselves here. He is not Patrick Mahomes.
He's not.
So I think having him 3 where you have him is a little high. I have him on my top 10, but he does have upside. He's a great pocket passer. He will throw for a bunch of yards. I like him. I'm pumping my brakes on C.J. Stroud.
Got you. And I understand that, man. I got a lot of people have Mahomes number 3. And I understand the Mahomes aspect. You never know with Mahomes. He could do anything out there.
Yep, a 50
His range
touchdown
outcomes-
season. can
Yeah,
happen.
we've seen that from
Yeah,
him. So
it can happen.
But Lamar Jackson's the offensive line issues with Lamar Jackson are the thing that gives me a little pause on him, and that's why that was the differentiating factor between him and C.J. Stroud.
I gotcha. All right, moving on. Number 7, Boomer, our second OU quarterback here in the top
Another
10.
transfer.
Kyler Murray. Okay. Kyler Murray is one of these quarterbacks. I think he's a very small group of quarterbacks in this league.
Very small quarterback.
He is a very small.
4'9".
He's petite. He's a petite quarterback,
Yo.
but he's thick. He's
Hey,
petite but
yo.
thick. Kyler Murray. The reason why I have him here, first of all, he's another athlete. He's just a pure gamer, and when he's on the field and healthy, he's been a consistently top fantasy option. He is one of the guys, and there's a few of them in the league that can finish the year at the number 1 spot. If Kyler Murray ended the year at number 1, you wouldn't be just crazy surprised.
Yeah.
Like somebody, let's say Jared Goff. If Jared Goff in the year at number 1, you'd be surprised.
Yeah, for sure. It's just that rushing floor that he comes with, man. And he's so dynamic outside of the pocket and scrambling. And then also another thing with them, and I've locked this in, I think a couple weeks ago. I'm taking the under on the Arizona Cardinals win total. So I think their game script will be really negative, which is a positive for fantasy. I project them to be losing more times than not. So I think trying to come from behind pause and then trying to win games, they're going to be throwing late. He's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. That's what I'm projecting. So I can definitely see the high upside. And he has number 1 overall quarterback upside to him. Yeah, for sure.
All right. What we got next?
Next we have the guy who I think is the second best quarterback in the world at worst, Joe Burrow. For fantasy, he comes in at number 8 for us on the consensus, man. Joe Burrow we're projecting health. We're going to project health for everyone. We're going to start there, and then we'll work our way down. Joe Burrow's talent is off the charts.
It is.
I think his number 1 receiver, Jamar Chase, is a top, 5 receiver at worst. I know he lost Joe Mixon at running back. I just think that lends to more volume for him passing. He has T. Higgins back for now. Joe Burrow is rock solid and safe, and I think the Bengals are going to bounce back. I think he has a chip on his shoulder after being hurt. And then the Bengals, keep in mind, the Bengals are a really good team. And they won, 8-9 games last year without him the majority of the season.
Right. That wrist injury is scary. That's something we do. Yeah, we want to project him healthy,
Right.
but it's something we got
to factor in.
Yeah, it's got to be real about it. Now, I agree, he is kind of the second to Patrick Mahomes when he is kind of exceptional. In the pocket, he is amazing.
Yeah.
He lit my Sooners up a couple of years ago.
Everyone did.
But
Come on, man.
come on.
That's not why we're here, though.
Yeah, it's not why we're here. Leave him alone.
My bad.
He has an elite cast. Jamar Chase at your dispense just automatically isn't it?
Yeah.
That's such a help to have. I wish I had Jamar Chase to throw to.
Yeah.
T. Higgins, he's going to be there. It looks like
now.
He's going to be there. It looks like.
Yeah.
And when he's healthy and he's on the field, he always supports the quarterback. So yeah, Burrow. We got Burrow there.
And another thing with Burrow, I think they're making moves to improve the offensive line, and that's been a thorn in the Bengals side for a while now. And they're slowly improving the offensive line, adding Amarius Mims. Like they're moving in the right direction. And I think just if he's healthy, they're going to be winning. And the way they win is they chuck that ball, man.
Yep.
Burrow's going to be putting up massive. And if you're in a fantasy league that gives bonuses for yardage or big play, add Joe Burrow, man.
Yep, I do like him this year. I think he's someone who could rise at these rankings. He's someone who, if he's in the top 5, I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
All right. Coming in next, we got America's quarterback, Dakota Prescott. Okay. Dakota Prescott last year. I'll be real. Why he was so great, he felt so great, is because a lot of people ended up getting him off the waiver wire last year. And then that first half of the season was shaky. It wasn't great for Dak. But at the end of the year, he was on pace. He was an MVP candidate.
He was on fire.
He was on fire. If you had him and CD Lamb last year, you won your league. And that's why I love Dak this year. If you're an early first rounder and you get CD, I think getting Dak is so important. He proved it last year.
Yeah, he did. Do you think how do you project the running back position for the Cowboys? They got Zeke back.
They did get Zeke. We got Rico Dowdle, Zeke. I think Zeke is going to surprise people with how many. I don't think Zeke, and I'm not saying I think Zeke still has it, but I think that you're going to be surprised with how many touchdowns Zeke has this year. His line right now on Underdogs, go check it out. His line right now, I believe, is 4.5 touchdowns. I'm taking the over on that.
It's funny, but it's disrespectful.
It is disrespectful.
I'll take that over.
He had it with Ramondre Stevens last year in New England. He had a good season. I think people wrote him off and were surprised by it. He had juice in the tank still.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's a pretty disrespectful line, man. Just the Cowboys offense itself, they're going to get up and down the field.
Yes.
And they're going to be in a lot of goal line situations. So just that alone, they're going to hand it to Zeke inside. He's coming back to Dallas, man.
Yep.
Yeah, but more about Dak Prescott, man. He gets the same weapons back. He gets Brandon Cooks back. Sophomore Jake Ferguson, who I'm very high on this year. We'll talk about that on the tight end show. Good O-line. The volume is there for him. He has CeeDee Lamb to throw to. He has Brandon Cooks. I think he's rock solid and safe, man. And I definitely agree with the Lamb. If you can get a stack of him and Lamb, forget about it, man. So yeah, good call.
I love you, Dak. I love you. Don't listen to all the haters. Dakota Prescott for president.
Man, until the playoffs.
Okay. What do you think about the Cowboys' chances here? We were just kind of talking about them in the conference.
I think the Eagles are going to own that division. I think they're the most talented team in that division. I think their GM is arguably the best in the sport, Howie Roseman. Keep drafting Georgia guys, man. But I think they at best finish number 2 in the NFC. I can see them regressing some. I can see it, man. I think they had an offseason that was very underwhelming after Stephen Jones came out and told us that he was going to, quote, go all in on the offseason. That looked like that looked a lot different than what I think myself and a lot of other people that are Cowboy fans, because I'm definitely not one, expected.
It's our year.
every year, right?
Number 10.
Number 10. Who we got, man?
All right. We got someone I don't really like right now, Jordan Love.
Man.
Jordan Love kind of surprised everybody last year. You know, I think Green Bay's on to something. You know, having this talented quarterback out of college sit behind a more talented quarterback for a few years.
It helps, man. If you can sit and develop and learn.
It's obviously on to something. towards the end of the year last year, he was probably the most consistent quarterback out there. Just the cast he has, Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson, bringing in Josh Jacobs. I love what the Green Bay has done.
Yeah. And the thing with Green Bay, they're dangerous everywhere at receiver.
Yep.
We don't know who the number one receiver is.
We don't.
And I'm hearing that Dontavian Wicks is really the guy.
A lot of beat reports saying that Dontavian Wicks is showing out this year.
And then they drafted Luke Musgrave, another high upside tight end. If Christian Watson, the variance in Christian Watson kind of scares me away, but you have a deep threat with him. Mm-hmm. You have Jaden Reed playing in the slot. You have Romeo Dobbs,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Jump ball situations, possession receiver. We'll see if Wicks is what the beat reporters are saying. That's a nasty wide receiving core. And then you add Josh Jacobs, and then you added Marshawn Lloyd, who's I think going to be in a solid situation at worst. You know?
We got to go catch a game at Green Bay. I got to see a game at Lambeau.
I got to, same, man. I've heard nothing but great things, but I wanted to be in the snow. I want the full experience.
I want to feel it. And they can rip cigarettes down. Have you seen that? They can smoke cigarettes in the stadium this year. I think they can vape, smoke ciggies. I don't know if they can smoke weed. I don't think that's crazy.
I don't know, man.
But yeah, they can do anything they want in Wisconsin. Wisconsin drinks too. And that town is built around the football field. I got to go there. Yeah, I got to go there.
Yeah. More to come on that, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so our number 10 quarterback is Jordan Love, man.
All right, who's a quarterback that fell right out of this for you? I think I know who you're going to say.
Yeah, I'm going to say Jared Goff, man. Jared Goff, just the variance between him at home, his home road splits are just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
He has, and then his games in the dome, inside domes versus outside, huge variance. I think 14 of his first 15 are in a dome. Mm-hmm. I think he's the most safe pick in fantasy at quarterback. If you can punt on the quarterback position and just load up at your other positions, play it safe, take the layup, draft Jared Goff, get guaranteed rock solid production.
Okay.
What about you?
I got somebody I think similar. I don't think he has the arm that Jared Goff, the arm talent that Jared Goff has, but someone you're low on, Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy is as steady as it comes. I think he's in the best scheme in all of football. And
Agreed.
because of that, of the coaching ability of the Niners, that's why I think Brock Purdy is just, if you can punt, hold off for Brock Purdy.
I can absolutely see that. I think he's the most supported player in fantasy football. In football, period. You have all pros all over the field. You still have Brandon Ayuk as of the date of this recording. Deebo Samuel, best receiver in football after the catch. Christian McCaffrey's been the most productive running back for fantasy.
Definitely.
You have Trent Williams, one of your OU guys, man. The best in the sport, man. And then they have a really good defense behind them as well. No one is as supported as Brock Purdy. I don't really see the upside with Purdy, but you don't really need it if you're going to put him in a position anyway.
You're not drafting him for upside.
Yeah, you're drafting him for safety. So,
all right, Mike, what else we got? You got anything else? You ready?
Man, nothing else on quarterbacks, man. Just keep drafting, keep mock drafting, and get into some best ball drafts. Best ball drafts are a good way, one, to make money. You're drafting for upside. There's no maintenance in a best ball draft. It just automatically just promotes the most productive player that week at each position. It's fun, and you get a feel for ADPs. It kind of helps you for your upcoming season for your at-home leagues.
And get in that with us. Subscribe. Yes. Subscribe to us, our channels. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok.
Yes.
We're putting out information daily. You can come do a best ball draft with us on Underdog. All you want, we do those multiple times a week.
Definitely.
Underdog, speaking of Underdog, I killed it this week on Underdog. I went 17 for 21 on my over-unders. Yes.
Yeah.
17 for 21. And we're giving these picks out every episode.
Yeah, get with this, man.
Again, like we've said every episode, message us. Let us know your questions, what you want to talk about. We want to talk with all of our fans if there's any of you out there. Let us know. Mike, what else you got? Anything?
Yeah, interact with the pod, man. We're just a pod for the people, by the people, man. Just huge sports fans, man. If you're a sports fan, if you're a fan of making easy money with sports betting, hit us up, man. Just interact with the pod, fantasy football questions, sports-related questions, and not just football, man. Just hit us up. We're glad to talk sports with anybody.
And I think that's it. That's the episode.
Yeah.
All right.
So next time, man.
Peace.
Go Dogs.